something that I've focused on a lot in my work in this space to date is the gender pensions gap, and having a think about the different paths that women and men are on. And when you have a think about women living longer, and this comes out of Renee in the paper, the need for women perhaps to have saved more in order to provide for later life care for themselves is far greater. When you look at the number of women versus men in care homes, for example, there's double the number of women to men. So there are some clear differences, and I guess it can't all be on the individual. Recent changes, recent history has moved us from institution to individual, but there needs to, I guess, be a recognition that each individual can't fix everything themselves. And so to think about which bits the system can, step in and support, and which bits are on the individual.
Picking up on that, on your point about the pensions pay gap, so the gender pensions pay gap, I wonder if there's a similar reflection in what you were saying earlier on, that, the pensions wealth gap is more pronounced than the underlying wealth gap in society. Is the gender pensions gap more pronounced than, say, the gender salary gap? Because from what you said, women sort of face double jeopardy, if I can put it that way. They lose out when they take time off work to have children and they're not contributing to their pension, and then they lose out in inverted commas. It's great that they have long life expectancy, but then they have to look after themselves for longer because the probability is their spouse will die before them, and they could have multiple decades. So does those two things amplify the pensions gender pay gap as well?
I guess pensions are a really useful symptom when it comes to measuring cumulative effects of a lifetime inequity. Kind of rough figures have the gender pay gap as roughly a third of the gender pensions gap when it comes to retirement. So it is a significant factor, but it's not the whole story.